Shout out to US ARC and all US ARC members. If you don't know what US ARC is, don't be ashamed. Just go ahead and click the third link in the description below. See what US ARC is all about, okay? You never know when legislations are going to hit your backyard, so that's why it's very important to consider becoming a US ARC member today. These numbers really do matter, and they look at it for consideration when it comes to battling legislation. So first and foremost, thank you, Phil Goss. Thank you to anybody out there who partners up and volunteers with US ARC organization. Thank you for anyone out there who's a US ARC member. And if you can't become a US ARC member today, please talk about it on your platforms. Let your neighbors know, let all your pet stores know what US ARC is here for, and it's here to fight for our animal rights. Thank you to every US ARC member and US ARC supporter out there.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world, episode 637 on the Treat Tuesdays, the return of Big Mac, DJ and Reptiles in the building. I'm your boy MJ, of course, with me, the one and only the mayor, Phoenix Reptiles, Bill Stiegel, and Marshall.
Mac's in the building tonight. I can't wait.
Let's hear how he sounds first. Hey, what's up, Marshall?
How's it going?
Oh, you still fucking suck. God damn it. I'm just kidding. It's not that much. It's not that bad.
Keep Marshall on mute. I want to keep seeing his mouth moving.
What's up, Marshall? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, fellas? How are y'all?
Doing all right.
Great.
Another Tuesday. I like your shirt. I didn't know Dennis had those shirts in those color.
Yeah, man. I like it.
I need one of those.
Had to represent tonight.
I need one of those shirts.
I got one in black. I was gonna put it on, but I don't want Bill to look like an asshole, like he doesn't support Dennis. So I just, decided.
Why don't you like Dennis, Bill? He's a super nice guy.
Dennis and I have, for some reason, have always butted heads. I don't know. We just can't get along.
Two big dudes to be butting heads. That's all I gotta say. But what's going on, Marshall? How you living, bro? What's anything eventful happened in the last week?
No, not really. You know, just kind of plugging along over here. Same old. Just had a chicken gizzard bonanza before the show. Got a bunch of babies fed and cyst fed, and still about the same with them. Haven't had any new ones turn on for me in the last since the last been 2 weeks, I guess. I missed last week, so haven't had any turn on. But other than that, the ones that are doing great are doing great, and everybody albino's doing good. Just shed here recently and full on in color change now. So yeah.
Wow. Is it looking like it's going high? Does it look like it's going yellow?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be yellow.
What are you gonna say?
You were missed last week, Marshall.
Yes, you were definitely. Alex Warren. Yeah, I think he said 4 words, but he came in and he stepped up and came through for you. But yeah, you were definitely missed. You were at Mia's lacrosse tournament, or where were you at?
Yeah, Mia or Maddox, both of them had their end of the year lacrosse, banquets or whatever. One had them on Tuesday, one had them on Wednesday, and then both of them had playoff games last week. Maddox had the All-Star game this past weekend, but finally, I think we're done with school season lacrosse. At least Maddox graduates from high school next Wednesday, so that'll be big.
Fantastic.
And yeah, man. Yeah,
A little closer to being off the payroll.
Yeah, not really. He's going to college next year, so it's going to be.
I said a little closer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a little closer. Doesn't feel like it, but yeah, so another day closer.
Before we get to Bill, and I mean this with all sincerity, like, we're happy that you're here, but God damn it, there's 2 complaints about your audio already in the chats. And I told you.
Oh, Jesus.
No, look, okay, listen, before you take off, do me a favor. Just turn your phone off and on. I think you need to restart your phone. Fucking Android users. Turn your phone all the way off and on, and then log back in. We'll talk to Bill, and by the time you come back, we'll be good. Just try that for me, okay, Marshall, please?
All right, let's try it.
Sorry, guys. You know what the fuck, dude?
It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same if everything was just crystal clear with Marshall. It just wouldn't be the same show.
I want to encourage anyone in the chats to speak up if the audio sounds like shit, please, okay? Because I don't want to be annoying, and sometimes I feel like I'm on Marshall's ass a lot about his audio, but god damn it, I can hear his fan all the time. His voice, his audio gets crackly, and I think it's because he's an Android user and he doesn't restart his phone. I think Android users have to shut their phone all the way off and on more than like iPhone users have to. No offense, I'm just saying, dude. Anyways, Bill. back to snakes.
The show must go on.
Show must go on, dude. Even when Marshall's fucking 1930 fucking telephone static audio that he has. But what's going on with Phoenix Reptiles, man? Let's kind of get to you, Bill. Give us some news.
Thank you for asking. Kind of like Marshall, not a lot going on. I have a monster clutch that's on day 47. So the nights have been a little bit restless, until that happens.
Yeah.
But probably we had a really kind of a cool day today. Jason Amos came down from Oklahoma, spent about 3 hours down here.
Well, Jason.
Let me tell you, in 3 hours, this is what Jason Amos got to see. He got to see a small prolapse reduced. He got to see a baby assist fed. We fed about 15 fresh neos. We sexed 3 subadults. So I think in 3 hours he got a crash course in baby chondros.
I mean, I think each day should have been individual. Like technically, like you could spend a whole day on each one of those topics that you just fucking talked. And to get all 3 of those experiences in one sitting in 3 hours, like not even half a day. That's crazy.
4, between the prolapse reduction, the assist feed, feeding the neos, and sexing yearlings, he got it all.
All right. Hold on.
So it was a good day.
Let's see. All right, Marshall. Look, his fucking screen's not even up. Marshall, you there? What happened now, dude? Dude, there he is.
Come on, talk to us, Marshall. Come on.
Any better?
No.
Any better?
No, it's not.
Somebody in the chat said maybe it's your fan. Maybe it's the ceiling fan.
I brought that up before that the fans might have an effect on your audio.
I don't
Not
know.
the ceiling fan. Hang on.
I don't know if that's the case or not, but wouldn't hurt to try to turn it off.
This reminds me of Unfiltered Reptiles podcast days, like 2019, 2020. But
Or Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah. It's all right. At least it's Marshall. Let's see. Hi, Marshall. Are you there yet?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's what we're gonna get.
Is it still scratchy?
It's not that bad. It's kind of coming in and out, but
It's doable. It's doable.
It's
I'm
doable.
just on my phone speaker right now, so I can't hear shit. So I'm going to try these again.
Do you have a
If
case?
it doesn't work, I'll take them out. We'll make it through.
Do you have a case on your phone? I'm just curious. Is there a case on your phone?
Yeah.
When I play the intro, take the case off. I'm just curious. I'm just wondering. Okay, don't worry about it. Because something's fucking up your audio, dude. I'm just trying to, maybe become an iPhone user. I don't know. All right, let's just move forward. Guys, I'm happy for tonight's guest. I had someone cancel last minute. They had some family issues, but Big Mac, the return of Big Mac. Dennis for how many years now, Marshall?
Oh, geez, I don't even know. 10, 15, maybe more. I don't know. Long time. He's been in as long as I can remember.
And Bill, I've seen him at your house multiple times. I believe he's been at least 2 parties. I could be wrong, but how long you know Dennis for now?
I would say about the same. Dennis could probably fill us in more, but at least a decade.
Yeah, and it's cool to see the work he does or what the line of work he's in, being able to establish, from what I know, emerald tree boa litters and green tree python clutches at the zoo. I'm wondering, as far as what I want to talk to him about, I'm wondering like his go-to with establishment is for chondros over there. So I'm looking forward to tonight. You guys are in for a treat. I we kind of lagged this on because of Marshall's late sound check audio issues. So do you want to just bring Dennis on? Should we just get this rolling or what?
I want to hold a baby giraffe.
All right, it's game time. Baby giraffe, holding time. Do what you gotta do to get your mind right. Do what you gotta do to stay hydrated. Episode 637, Dennis, DJM Reptiles, part 2, coming at you right now. Let's go. Choo!
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man,
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Tell 'em.
exclusive. Oh,
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
and we're live, episode 637, the return of Dennis. Big Mac. What's up, Big Mac?
How's it going?
Big Mac,
Hey, Dennis, what's up, my brother?
what's up?
I don't know if I was ready for that intro to end. The three of you, goodness gracious, that was great.
Well, you mean Marshall? Marshall's the fucking guy. That's the entertainer right here, right
I-
there.
I'm just
I
never,
know.
I'm never good enough, you know? These two are hard to please.
Can,
Hey,
we
at least-
can we put closed captions on, Marshall? Is that possible?
I don't. That would be great. Yeah.
That would be epic. It would be nothing but fish lyrics. Hey, okay, Dennis, we got to get this out of the way. How many colored fucking DJM shirts are there out there? I'm confused.
Well, the problem is I originally was going to get a couple of. My wife was like, nobody wants anything other than gray and black. So I went there and I was like, I didn't agree, and so I got a couple other colors. And now she's telling me I'm being too loud, but and so I got a couple other colors, and then everybody liked them. So
Between Dennis whispering and Marshall static, this is going to be a unique episode.
right, that's true. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. She'll go in the other room in a second.
We're gonna
But-
be doing it before the
So-
night's over.
Right. So I've got black, gray. I don't know that I have any more of those mustard ones, but I have a few other ones.
We
Yeah,
need
man.
Jose on the show.
Yeah, fuck, dude. Imagine him running imagine if he stepped in on an episode where, it closed caption, but hey, Dennis, listen, it's good to have you back. I got to ask you, you had some stuff happening over your end. There was a pure sarong clutch that you hatched out at the zoo, or an Aru? Aru, okay, yeah. And this is a repeat thing of yours that you do at the zoo with the Aru locality, or do you like switch up the pairings each year?
Depends on what we have. So I've produced babies before, but they were like zoo bred. They weren't. I used a Aru male, but then I had like a Sedgwick County female that ended up throwing. That she was like a 17-year-old girl that laid her first clutch.
Wow, damn.
So, but
Are they good? The eggs good?
yeah, we got some good eggs. She did some weird that clutch definitely like changed her after that. Like her posture changed. Where she lived for a while, but she lived to be about 21. But she just like it was just like once she had that clutch, then she just kind of like it changed her conformation a little bit. But and then this is the first time I don't even think I tried these Aru pure Arus for a while. I think so. I just did I've just done the one pairing on those.
Yeah, and but before, how many clutches have you done working at the zoo at this point?
At work, I've only had 2 chondro clutches at work. I've had a few here over the years, but it's been a long time. But I was not very successful here. I had a lot of it was before anybody told you the whole. I don't know. I had a few lay off the perch clutches. I had some really nice sarongs that I had that she laid scattered all over the thing. Like she didn't use a nest boxes all. She just laid them off the perch when I came home one day. And I had one other clutch. I'm trying to think of what else that was. It was a while ago.
Do you remember what day that was when she? I don't even know back then if you guys kept count the way we keep count nowadays. And I'm not acting like it was this long ago, but I'm just curious. Back when you noticed this female not laying correctly, did you keep count of the day it was since her ovulation? And
I probably did, but I mean, granted, I was in this house. That was probably like 15 years ago, 12 years ago. It was a long time ago. It was a female that I bought a pair of babies and raised them up. She was like 5, and that was her first clutch, and she laid them from up there. If I had records in front of me, I might be able to tell you, but I don't know that I could tell you anything like that. And the ones at work, if I looked at the card, I could tell you, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Dennis, remind us what you do at the zoo, and are you kind of exclusively the chondro guy at the zoo? Like you do the breeding there, or other people are doing it, or kind of tell us.
So my job is I'm the assistant curator of reptiles there. So I'm in charge of the building, the animals. I acquire whatever. I help write whatever graphics. I help. I don't know, whatever we need to do. So like anything that has to do with reptiles there, I am in charge of in some way. So hiring people. As far as the chondros there, I rarely I kind of coach on how things go. And since we had the babies, I probably take care of the babies pretty much myself. But I don't say by myself, but like for the most part, I take care of the babies. But like I have feeding schedules and whatever else, and so they just kind of go through and do they spray the way I ask and they feed the way I ask usually. And so
I remember you saying, just quick question. The last time we had you on, you mentioned that you, with your emeralds, you have somebody sit there and spray them for 20 minutes sometimes, as long as they'll drink.
Yeah.
So do you do the same with the chondros?
We do that with anything. So
do you notice the same kind of behavior where they'll drink for 10, 20 minutes at a time?
They don't drink as long. They'll drink, but they don't drink as long. So we do see it, but we don't see it as much. Like the emeralds are definitely more, I don't want to say thirsty, but they'll just do it more. The chondros don't as much.
Are you keeping the chondros together year round, or are they separate, or how are they set up?
Right now they're separate, but typically year round.
And are they on display there at the zoo?
Yes. Yep.
And what's the ratio?
Makes it a little harder to breed them when they're on display, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you kind of also find like you can see when the enclosure is 2 by 2 by 4 feet tall with a couple of different perches and different stuff like that, and so we would find that like the male might hang out at the very top, the female might hang out like 2/3 of the way up or halfway up, or they'd switch, or and then you'd find that like I know we had them separate for a while and put them together, and then like the female just cruised, and so we separated them because she just was not liking him being in there.
Yeah.
And so we've done that a couple of times. Like if they want to be together, or I don't know, maybe not want to be together, but if they don't mind each other, we'll leave them together. If they do mind each other, then we don't. But we've only ever had one time where I'd say they wanted to be apart, and it was just she just cruised for like, I don't know, like 3 hours, and it was like, okay. I thought she would chill out, but she just didn't, so we just pulled them.
Yeah. One of the things I've stressed for ever since I moved into this place is the fact that I do this podcast. Well, so many fucking podcasts is in front of these guys all the time. I was kind of worried, Bill, like, are these things ever going to breed with me fucking always being here? But I think obviously with time they kind of get used to the noise or something, you would think, right? I mean, I'm getting a little success still, but I'd still rather not be in here as much. I wish I didn't have to, because I do, like, even with the girls that are in their nest box now, I'd rather have the lights off and just not fucking be bothering them at all, to be honest.
I mean, we've bred all the emeralds, and chondros have all been on exhibit with people walking by and banging on the glass and whatever. I'd say they all get pretty used to it. I don't know. I feel like we're more affected by it than them half the time, but Like once they get going, I think they don't really care so much. Now, if we see somebody's gravid, we'll pull the female.
Yeah.
So like if the female's if she goes through like a prelay shed, we'll pull her and put her in the back just so that way we can pay attention to her. Or now, like if it's a chondro, then like for that, like we pulled the perches. Like we had, well, actually I had 2 perches and I put her in an exo chair that was like a 24 by 18 by 24. And then we just made the whole bottom sphagnum and only put a lower perch in there. And then when we got closer, just took the perch away. And then actually I had her lay underneath a terracotta pot. Like I made that, and that's where she laid underneath that.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys all this. Like first and foremost, was pulling the perch always a thing, Bill, since you've been breeding chondros? Like, did you always know at some point you got to pull the perch, or did that come later on?
Always. I mean, I've always pulled the perch. I mean, that's just kind of been standard operating procedure. And of course, I didn't invent that maneuver, but you know, when you hear about things like that happening, and it's happened to me one time. I had one time where I didn't know a female was gravid, and I caught her laying on the perch. So sometimes you miss them, even if you're looking for it. But
did those eggs go on to hatch, Phil?
You know, so she laid 2 off of the perch before I caught her. 2 eggs, and one of the eggs hatched, and one of them didn't. But it was panic mode. You run in there, and it was just fate because I'd been in there. I'd been in the room an hour earlier, and she was just cruising, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I thought she was going to die or something. But then I went back in an hour later, and there were 2 eggs on the floor, and I just panically scooped her up and put her in a tub, and she went on to lay the rest of the clutch, and those eggs did fine.
Oh, good, Marshall.
I was going to say, I personally don't think that them not laying in the nest box or laying in the perch is necessarily a death sentence for the eggs. I think that the eggs are still. I mean, you're talking about if they drop them from the top perch in some of these cages, it's like foot drop or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that whole dropping from the perch thing was because the females didn't want the eggs, or like they felt like the eggs weren't good, so they didn't care to nest them. But I've also seen females nest fucking slugs before. So I think it's just either a female just doesn't have what she feels like she needs to go down and nest, or she just doesn't. She's clueless. Maybe like first time female, but I don't know. I feel like like Bill, like for the most part, for the average, yours go in the nest box and do their thing, right, Bill? For on the average,
I would say it's close to 50-50. I mean,
oh wow, okay.
Half the females I end up locking in the nest box because they're getting close, and maybe they would eventually go in that nest box, but I'm not going to take the risk, and I know they're close, they're going to spend that last week in a nest box or Marshall's setup, or I'm not even going to give them the opportunity to lay off that perch if I know where they are, and most of the time I do, but there's been a time or two where I haven't. I've been caught off guard.
Yeah, I've noticed the girls that are currently in the nest box for me right now, the first day or the first night or day, whenever that they went in there, when I shut the lights off, they would come out of it, cruise, drink some water, and then go back inside the nest box. And then as they get closer, they're not even leaving the nest box now. And so, and like you said, if I end up leaving and they still haven't laid, I'm just going to put the lid with no hole over it and just keep them in there. I mean, that's great. That's great observed behavior, but I've had them lay on top of the nest box. Yeah.
They be in the nest box, but then they decide to come out and they lay on top of the nest box. And inevitably when they do that, a few of them roll off the top of the nest box. And it's been my experience with other people's experience. If they lay that clutch off of the perch, and almost all the time it's going to be off the top perch, right? They don't come down to the bottom perch. But if they lay those eggs off the top perch, then from what I have just been able to pick up from other people's experience, those eggs do not make it.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, and then you had Mark Hager, who had a clutch earlier this year where the female came out of the nest box and she laid them on the side of the nest box. Do you remember seeing that video that he posted? And they were just she's literally laying them on the side of the nest box, outside the nest box. Did you see that video?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
That's why I'm a big proponent now of locking them. Buddy locks them all in, every single one of them, and I'm pretty much at the point now where I lock them in too. Because you don't know even if they're in that nest box most of the time. Like you said, if they come out at night and they're cruising, you don't have any control of that. So
yeah, and so with the ones that you had, Dennis, did they other than the one that you told me that dropped from the perch, the other ones, did they nest in the nest box for you?
Yeah, so the first one years ago nested in a bird box. I did one of those wooden bird boxes, and then this one laid on a bed of moss underneath a terracotta pot, and she did perfectly under there. Both of those are actually really good. So I don't know. So yeah, I mean, the last two have been good. The one, whatever I did back then, did not work out so well, which I don't know that I knew or even thought about pulling a perch at that point in time. But
yeah,
I just remember coming in here. It was like, I just remember being like, oh crap, but it happens.
Yeah.
How far along are the babies that you recently hatched at the zoo?
Yeah,
I think they were born in September.
Okay, great.
They're eating like small fuzzies.
Nice. And what kind of success rate did you get?
4 out of 8. 4 out of 8 are doing well. They're actually even starting to color change a little bit now too, or not a lot, but like some facial color changes on them. But they're ready. Like, I don't know, like I feel like I could almost feed them more, which I've been trying not to. I don't know. We set them up in Doug bar cages, so they're in like 12-inch cubes with a bare bottom with a big water bowl, a couple different perches, and then pothos in a moss-filled thing, and then have it just super humid. And that way, just to see, like, especially I was super worried, like you guys make it, so I was just worried about prolapse. So I was like, how can I keep these things as hydrated as possible? And it's kind of like, a little bit of troopery where you have that. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so there's the setup. And so we have them like that, and they've done, knock on wood, they've done beautifully.
Yeah.
How about the other 4? Did they survive, or are you assist feeding them, or like what's the protocol at the zoo or something like that?
I was assist feeding them. So I try to do all the chick down stuff. I try to do some Reptilinks.
Those never work.
Fluid. The lizard scent, whatever else. Yeah. And I really had no luck with that. So the ones that did well, actually I had all of them were taking pinky heads. Like these 4 were eating well from the get-go. And then the other ones I was doing like pinky heads and kind of getting stuff in them. And then some of them, one of them was doing really well and then just kind of like just didn't do well after a while. I came in there one day, I thought it was doing great, and then it wasn't. So these are the 4 that are still around and thriving.
Dennis, give us a little bit more. Like, what do you mean it wasn't? Was this on the 4 dead or just?
Yeah, like we came in and it just had passed away overnight. But it had eaten. Like it was like I was getting food in it. Like I would offer them food every week, and if they didn't eat, then I would give them a pinky head, and just to try to see if we could kind of keep them going. And like it didn't look bad. It just didn't go. Whereas these guys all eat great. They're growing really well. I'm feeding them basically once a week, but I feel like they want to eat more, but I've been kind of reluctant in offering them more. Part of me would like to, just because they seem like they want it, but I just figure everything's going well. I don't want to push it.
Well, I mean, we all know that like feeding is something that is abused in the reptile hobby overall. Like, we all feed too much, but there is a time and place. Some of these reptiles could fucking take some meals. And from what I understand, once these things get going, bro, you could hit them with a meal like every 5 days, every 3 to 5 days. And so if they're giving you a bowel movement and they're shitting, fucking give them another meal right then and there.
I've done some 5-day intervals, and we've had some 10-day intervals. I've had some days where it just depends on how busy life is, but they're on roughly a 7-day schedule with every once in a while. If I can get in there, we'll get another 5-day in there just to try to do it. But like a couple of like the first one, like if you look in the order of how they were, the first one I think would eat every 2 days. The way that thing is, it's like it's going. And then the good thing is, so we basically, just because it's bare, we'll just go in there and kind of like sop up all the water on the floor with paper towels, and then just kind of we just have plastic over the top, and then we just make it so we just spray them in there, and it just stays super humid. And they've been doing fantastic like that.
Marshall, I know with your work schedule, you stick to once a week just because that's what you do, because it's like what works. But Bill, I'm curious with you, Bill, like, is there ever a moment that if you see a well-established Neo and it's like a holdback, do you feed it more than once a week, or what's your regimen with that?
Yeah, mine are every 5 to 7 days. They're just now starting to get where I'm offering some of the bigger ones like ASF pinks.
Yeah.
ASF pink can still be a pretty big meal for them. So if they do eat an ASF pink, I'll give them a full week.
Yeah.
But if I'm feeding them smaller gizzard pieces, then yeah, every 5 days for sure.
I'm curious, Bill, are you noticing more bowel movements when it comes to feeding an ASF pink versus chicken gizzard? Like, or what are the bowel movements looking like? Because I like, for instance, my Neos will give me like 2-3 bowel movements sometimes before, like, you know, and that's only if they're on rodents. So if they're on chicken gizzards, I only get like 1 bowel movement maybe. So I'm wondering if you're experiencing that too.
I haven't noticed a huge difference, to be honest, and I don't keep track of the bowel movements, to be honest. So I don't know. I just have noticed that the bowel movements are better quality with the chicken gizzard versus like a mouse pink.
Yeah. And what about this? Like your preference of bumping up size? All you guys. Like, so Bill, if you want, let's start with you. Like, you know, like I said, if you have a well started off neonate and it's not missing any meals, when do you feel comfortable bumping up the sizes? Like, you know, and then obviously there's a big jump, right? Like where there's one point it goes from having a fuzzy to like almost like a full on rat pup or like I guess you would say a weaned
hopper mouse or something.
Or hopper mouse or ASF or whatever, you know what I mean? But when do you feel comfortable making that step, Bill, and then Marshall, and then obviously you, Dennis?
To me, there's no science in it. I've come to find that these things, they can tolerate a very big meal if they'll eat it. A lot of times, you know, it just seems like it's too big or it's too heavy, and you know, they'll strike it and they'll wrap it and they'll kind of try to put their mouth on the head, but then they'll just decide it's too big. But if they do eat it, you know, I really haven't noticed any like increase in prolapse rates if they're eating a big meal. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I mean, you know, if I see a Neo and it's eating a really big meal, I haven't noticed a like increased chance of that Neo prolapsing. It just gets bigger faster, and then you can get it on what you really wanted eating, you know, like fuzzies. And then once they get on fuzzies, then definitely no more than once a week.
What about you, Marshall?
I'm just judging by the size of the snake and how fast they're growing. It's not like, you know, a set 10 meals or whatever, because they all grow a little bit differently. But the mice that I have been breeding it's a pretty small strain, and they change to hoppers quickly. Quickly, they're still small when they're hoppers. So I'll try to get them up to hoppers just as, you know, quick as I can. Just something with full hair, and, you know, full coat, and
what else, Marshall? Fucking
large
goddamn it!
fuzzy from some other strains.
Fucking connection. This is terrible, Marshall.
What? Did I freeze up? Oh fuck!
Fucking ass, dude. Like you do. God damn it. We love you though.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's all right. It's all right. I'm gonna send this to you. You're gonna have to listen to the whole episode. I want you to re-listen to yourself, okay? But Dennis, you know, being a zookeeper, feeding less is more is already on your mind, right? Like you guys you focus on giving the proper diet for any animal you keep at the zoo, and I'm wondering if you keep that same mentality in your own collection.
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing for me is that I can try things out at home and I can try things out at work, and I can figure out what works and kind of go from there. So, you know, I do try, like, I like feeding stuff with hair. I like feeding, so I'll like kind of pick through, especially at work, we have tons of options as far as piggy size, fuzzy size, hopper size, whatever else. I can kind of go through the bags. I mean, I don't have hundreds or thousands of stuff here, whereas I can pick through and pick exactly what I kind of want to go with and then go from there. And then I have quail and I have chicks and whatever, and chicken chicks and whatever else. And so if I need to like supplement somehow or make it scent somehow, I can do all of that. So that's pretty helpful. But really, like for these babies, I just kind of went and just found the biggest thing that I could fit that was reasonable, and then just try to go with that and just try to watch them. So when we, thaw it out, feed them, and then just see how they go. And if it goes pretty quick, then we can bump it a little bit next time, but probably just keep it reasonable. And I've done the same thing with emeralds. Like when we've had emerald babies, just try to make it so it's, I find they want fur is to me what I figured with them, but like just make sure everything's warm.
Yeah.
And, because that's something and it happens with the keepers that I have where they'll try to feed something and they don't have it hot enough, especially for some of these, emeralds are worse than chondros as far as that goes. But like,
yeah, for sure.
And it's like, they'll be like, oh, they keep on dropping it. And I'm like, it's just not hot enough. You need to make sure you need to warm it up more. And then like, I don't know, I don't know, for whatever reason, it makes sense to me, but sometimes it doesn't make sense to other people. So they just have to do it a couple times to figure it out.
One of the best tools that I ever discovered was one of these soup heating little small things where you plug it in and it's got a little thermostat and it keeps the water hot. So in other words, you're not having to go to the sink and get hot water all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
It keeps the water hot all the time. So you can just, like you said, if you're trying and it goes more than 2 or 3 minutes, that thing's cold.
Right.
That prey item is cold already. So to be able to just always have a constant source of hot water, just right there, right by your side is really, I found that very, very helpful.
No, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, for us, we have a couple sinks in there, and like in here, I have a sink right next to me. So it's like I can, if I need to use something like that, they're pretty instrumental as far as being right there. But if I had a whole bunch of chondro babies, that would definitely come in handy.
Yeah.
Bill, is this what you're talking about, or would this even work? Because I thought about this the other day feeding. I was like, I got to get that water warmer fucking thing that Bill's talking about. But
I have one of those, and that's actually something similar to that I'll use to heat up like a big water bowl that let's say I'm feeding 200 ball pythons. I've got a big giant water tray. But what I'm talking about is more like a kettle, almost like it's just like a kettle or a pot.
A what?
Like a crock pot.
Yeah, it's like a very small crock pot that you plug in, and it's just a bowl of water that's just always the perfect temperature.
I think I found it.
I think you just pulled up was like an aquarium heater.
That looked like an aquarium heater.
Yeah.
So you're talking about this then, maybe?
Yeah, that's definitely more of what I'd be talking about for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the ideal temp then? Like, what do you like to shoot for?
Just under boiling. So if the water's boiling, it's too hot.
Right.
So
Damn.
it's just before the water boils, and sometimes I'll have to unplug it or turn it off for a couple of minutes and then turn it back on. But you judge it pretty quick. You don't want to give them a scalding pink, right? I mean,
they pop and shit. It's nasty. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's too hot to the touch. But it's just. I mean, if you try and mess around with it, it's pretty common sense with the setting to put it on.
Yeah,
it's amazing how many people do. Like I know, like Lee Abbott does that with corn snakes. Like he said that like the way he gets all of his corn babies started is he like boils pinks. Like he does it like that. Obviously they're thawed, but he takes frozen ones, boils them, and then he's like even the pickiest feeders take it like that. So that would come in handy for.
Feeds them hot. Feeds them hot, or feeds them like already.
He says it's hot. He said he drops them in there, so it's like basically into boiling water for like, however, I don't know. I don't remember what the time frame was, but he said to the point where they're hot, but like not going to burn them. But basically, they go in there for a second, then he offers them, and then he's like, it's amazing how many of those things will take it that are not like all the picky feeders will take it if it's like that.
Yeah, I definitely know with chondro. From what worked for me was doing them as hot as possible without it being too hot, but then batting them dry. Like the chondros didn't like them fucking having water sprinkle on them. I'll tell you that much.
Really?
Yeah, I would bat the and I think David Brahms brought that up too. That's what he does. But like I'll have it sitting in the bowl for 20 seconds or whatever, and then wrap it in a paper towel, and bat it dry, and then immediately give it to him. And that seemed to work more than just going straight from the water to the snake.
I like the water if they'll take them because that's more moisture. That's more.
Yeah.
It's more hydration. If you can get them to take a hot wet pink, but
Yeah.
at that point, if they'll take anything, whatever works.
Yeah, what do you think, Dennis? About we had an Australian keeper on the show. Shout out to Jason last week, and he talked about what he does is he gets a syringe and he injects every pinky with like 10 milliliters or something with water.
Well, not 10, like one milliliter.
Yeah, he said 10 though. I don't know why he said 10. I have it written down actually. I'll see what he meant by that. Maybe their numbers are different in Australia, so who knows?
Listen, milliliter's a milliliter, even in Australia.
Yeah. So, anyways, what did you think of injecting water into a rodent and then giving that to the animal? And we're mainly talking for babies here. Do you feel like that's something you would try to implement yourself, Dennis?
I would be interested to see. I mean, and I think you guys brought this up. Like, I would think it would like explode if you had.
I thought. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't ever blot them off. Like I do a lot of just right out of the water feeding, so they're eating a wet rodent. So especially once it has hair on it, I feel like they're getting so much moisture that I don't know if you need to do the extra. Maybe if you're having an issue, maybe. But I feel like it. It's just another step. I mean, I guess if it works, it may be worth it.
Yeah.
There's probably so much water in the
my ball pythons, frozen dog, I would just take them straight out of the water.
They're the numbers, Bill. Sorry, you're right. 0.5 ml. Yes. And then he does in the pinks, and then he does 0.7 ml in the fuzzies. I think
it's one of those things that's not going to hurt, but I personally don't know that it's going to help that much. I mean, who knows? Who am I to say?
I feel like I don't have a choice because I'm trying to figure out not to deal with any prolapses. I'm wondering if there's something we can do to avoid prolapses. I think maybe deep down inside there isn't. Like, I think it's going to happen no matter what. But I mean, you won't know unless you fucking try. I don't know. I just feel creeped out ordering fucking syringes and like it just kind of like I don't know. And then my wife walking in, she's like, "Is everything okay?"
You go, MJ, what are those syringes? What's going on back there?
You get in here a lot extra lately. What's going on?
Have you seen anything thank goodness I've not had a prolapse, but
wow.
Have you seen anything as far as like that's consistent with the animals that prolapse? Do you feel like, could it be because there's always so many things that being dehydrated is a secondary thing. It's not always the first thing, so it's like something else is there that causes you dehydration or whatever else. Do you feel like it's a hydration issue that's causing the prolapse?
In my experience, I don't think so. The big thing that has really turned the corner for me in prolapses in the last couple of years is not giving them exclusively pinks, but changing up their diet to a more substance, like we talked about chicken gizzards, a million times, or Jason Amos was telling me about a friend of his that couldn't get chicken gizzards, but he could get chicken livers. And he had baby chondros that just crushed chicken liver. When they wouldn't eat a pink, they wouldn't eat scented. He tried all sorts of scenting and gecko shed scenting, but it would crush these chicken livers. So,
well, if you think about like wild animals that are eating prey, they're the most time they go after organs because it's the most nutrient rich thing. So as far as offering things, it might be the best option.
Yeah. Instagram has a fucked up algorithm where it keeps showing me like crazy like wildlife attacks and like and I'm like, God, I keep hitting like not interested, but then I am interested and I go, God, I gotta watch this. But it's like, man, it's brutal, man. They go head first into the guts. Like
you're watching all that Nature is Metal. I know Patrick loves all that.
Oh man, it's like I like it, but I don't like it. Right before I go to bed, I'm like, God damn it, this is not. I'm like, ah.
I get it.
For some reason, I have a totally different algorithms on my Instagram feeds.
I can only imagine, Bill. I can only imagine.
Not natural. Not natural.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't think that she eats gizzards.
Oh my God. Wait. So
we digress.
Have you tried the gizzard? Any kind of gizzards with the yellow neonates that you hatched out in September, Dennis?
I've not. I've only tried rodents. So I've tried rodents and I've tried with chick down and with like lizard scent and stuff like that. But now I'm just using regular they don't need I think they'd eat an eraser if you put it in there now. Like they'll eat anything that comes in the thing. They're as soon as you walk by, they're checking everything out and looking.
Are you assist feeding anything now, Dennis?
No.
No. Yeah.
No, everything that's there is
Established.
there. Unfortunately, if they didn't take it on their own, they didn't make it at this point.
I'm curious how the 4 that didn't make it, how did they go out? Like, was it just like you came in one day and they rolled? Or they obviously they haven't prolapsed. So I'm wondering how they went out for you.
I don't know that I could tell you that answer. I think we just came in the morning and they had passed kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that was just after several weeks of just not taking off, not feeding.
Yeah.
I don't think they were all like a month or so. Like they had all had meals in them. They just weren't thriving at that point. Which you get a certain percentage of stuff that just fails to thrive, it seems. So it's like they weren't like there was one that was just kind of runty to begin with, so I don't know that it would have mattered what would have happened with that. I know one that I thought was like going to take off, and it just unfortunately did not.
Yeah. Well, Bill, you've had 4 clutches already out of the egg and you're establishing, or 5? How many right now that are in Iraq?
This year, so far, 5 clutches, 5 clutches out of the egg, and 2 in the incubator. Yeah.
Okay. So out of those 5, okay, are there any of them that have not made it, or all of them alive? Like even the ones that you're assist feeding. Like if you had any roll out of any of those clutches,
they're all still alive. Fucking
awesome. Because that's another thing I'm trying to figure out, Bill, is like that clutch I had 100% success rate. Well, they didn't 100% successfully all like live. Like they ended up, a couple of them didn't, make it in the long run. And one of them died after eating 4 good meals and was a great eater and just gave me no sign. I just came in and it was rolled out, and I was like, why? And so I'm trying to figure out why. Like I'm wondering.
I think Dennis is right. It just happens. I've had that happen too. Just not this year, not yet. It's still super, super early. I've had that happen every year.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Let's talk about olive pythons real quick. So you had olive python clutch this year, right? Or 2?
I have 2, but one of them's that female is like 16. Wow. Those don't look good anymore. But I have a younger female that laid eggs. I've got, I think, 10 eggs, which they're, I don't know how far along they are, but they're probably a good month and a half in, I would say. And I've got some McNamara eggs.
With the albinos or albino
just regulars?
Okay.
Yeah, just regulars.
And your first olive python clutch was in 2019?
No, I think I've had 9 olive python clutches.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh shit.
Wow.
Epic.
Over the years. So
how are those babies to establish? Olive python babies.
They are weird because they have no feeding response unless it's a bird. So like if you take them, like, so for me, the first meal or the first couple of meals they don't grab like a fuzzy or a hopper. They can eat like a hopper when they're born, like a big fuzzy hopper, and they won't wrap it up, but you can lay it in there and come back in the morning and a percentage of them will have eaten it. And if you go through a couple weeks and they don't do that, then if you offer a small quail, they wrap the quail up like it's the best thing that ever happened to them. So,
so they're big enough. They're big enough they can eat a baby quail out of that first meal.
Yeah, they're probably like, they're probably like finger big around. They're pretty long and big, but they can. Yeah, I luckily have never had an olive python baby not thrive. They're just, that lysis stuff is just durable. And so they'll come out and do pretty well. And a McNamara python, shoot, I have like 17 eggs hatching, I think, something like that soon.
Nice.
They eat thawed. They eat thawed like the week after they shed. Like they'll eat. I think they'd eat probably in shed if you offer. Once they get going, they'll eat in shed. They just eat. They're just machines.
Yeah, I heard that's a good thing about McNamara is like, dude, the babies are pretty fucking straightforward to establish.
They're awesome. I don't know, I love them. So I made a good amount last year. I think I made 28 of them last year.
Do you sell them okay?
I have one pair left.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Nice.
So yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel overall the way the market is in the reptile hobby, producing olive pythons and stuff that's not really out there? Like, you feel like there's going to be an issue moving it or getting them in the right hands with the time, or no?
I mean, I wish I had more Macalots pythons from last year. I'm kind of bummed I only got one clutch this year. In all honesty, the way that kind of stuff works, it just nobody really dickers on price. They just kind of, I mean, they're not expensive. I sell males for like $300, females for like $350, something like that. But I don't even advertise them. People just all of a sudden will message me, or they'll see whatever else, and they just go away.
Well, you're not competing with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a few this year. It seems like there's a few clutches out there. So we'll see. But yeah, and I'm pretty consistent. Like I have one female that's laid 9. The female that did not go this year, she's laid 9 clutches on her own over the years. Like she's an older female now, but she laid last year, and I had babies out of her. But I have another female that laid, and so that our female laid last year too. But they don't have a problem going year after year. Like they're just like breeder. They're just made to go. So.
Yeah,
I'll get, as long as they have weight and they can put them together, then if they go, they go. I just kind of give them the option if they want to do it. And that one female, I think she laid like 8 years in a row, something like that. Like she laid, I mean, and the clutches get bigger as she gets older. So it's kind of crazy.
and you got people on your you got people on your bumper for the olives too, right? Like once olives are ready, like those aren't really hard for you to let go.
I would say every show someone comes and asks me about olive pythons, and I think I'm lucky in the fact that I've been doing it for a long time. But I'll have friends that are like, "Man, I have them, and nobody wants to buy them." I'm like, I've had 3 people ask me for them since I've been here.
Yeah.
So some of those people have sold them since, but yeah, I think just having them around and
reputation and longevity plays a big part in that, right?
Yeah, so I mean that's really helped out as far as that kind of thing goes, and I haven't had them in like 2 years, so I'm excited to have them because to me, those babies come out and they're like velvet. They're just badass babies. Like I just think they're just one of the coolest things to ever hatch. So I'm excited to have them hatch out, and then I've got quite a few Sumatran short-tail eggs so far now too. So. Yeah. Actually, I have some palmetto corns. That's all I have out right now. But I don't know. I mean, I've got 50 some eggs in the incubator. So I mean, I like whatever it is. It's like it's not a lot of variety yet. But I mean, I'll have some ball pythons and some other stuff, and I think I've got some blood pythons that are going to go, and we'll see what happens.
How is the blood python and the short-tail python? I mean, how is that market now? I've produced Borneo short-tails for many years, but I haven't in the last couple of years.
Right.
What's the market on those doing?
I don't like. I only had pumpkin short-tails last year. I did those Sumatrans with I made some Carol albinos,
beautiful,
and some regular ones, and they sold. Like I sold them. I don't even know if they made it to Tinley. Like I think I sold them in Daytona and Atlanta. Like I don't even think I made it to Tinley with them. I may have made it to Tinley with one of them.
And I don't remember. Are the reds or the black ones?
I did have the black. So I had the black ones. So there's northerns and southerns. So I have the northerns are like the pumpkin, the orange head ones, and they also make the caramel albinos. And so I have those, and I've also got the black ones. Back in the day, they were black buds. Now they're Sumatran short-tails, which would probably be easier if you had black buds and pumpkin short-tails. But people get really funny about that whole black blood thing.
They sure do.
I find it odd because when I was coming up, that was just what they were.
Yeah,
I feel it's easier to say. But I realize the Curtis complex isn't the Curtis complex anymore either. So it's all a little bit different.
It sounds cooler. It sounds cooler than Sumatrans too.
Yeah, I don't know. I still slip up every once in a while, but yeah. I mean, I found it in the past. I always found that Borneos would sell for me well, like in the spring. Like I would have them, and I would do it at other shows, and they would go slow, and then once they get like that little bit of color, then all of a sudden, I'd have like 2 weeks where I'd be like, "What the hell just happened? I just sold like 10 of these things." Yeah. And that's kind of how it would go for me with them. Is it was like all or nothing. So I don't know. We'll see. I have 2 red females that I think are going to go. One's a Banca female, and then one's a martyr female. So I believe I'm going to have 2 more clutches of actual bloods. So we'll see. I don't know. I haven't made a whole lot of them in the last little bit, so I'm kind of interested. I don't know. For me, it seems like that stuff moves better. Like I'd almost like I make a good amount of ball pythons and I like ball pythons, but like after the COVID stuff, it seems like the ball pythons are a little bit slower and the other stuff is picked up for me.
Hey, Dennis.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to piggyback off MJ's question earlier because you're uniquely qualified to answer this because you do have balls and you do have a wide variety of other stuff and you do a lot of shows. So is that how sales have been? Have you done better with the non-ball python stuff, or are you still, like percentage wise?
No, so I keep track of every show, and so I'm finding that it's actually all about equal. So like value wise, like I want to say Bob show and Tinley, I think I was like a third ball pythons, a third like Maclots, Indo-Australian pythons, and a third colubrids, which is nice. I mean, because any one show I might have, 3 to 8 species or whatever else. I mean, I could probably do more than that, but it just depends. Like I think I had 18 species total, something like that, 19 species total. So it just depends on what I'm making. And like this year I should have more colubrids and stuff like that. So I really found that it's kind of equal. But I'm not finding for me, which again, I don't advertise and I also don't chase a lot of the projects very much. I'm finding that it's like before it was like I wasn't having a problem selling a $750, $1,000 ball python. Whereas now I'm having a much better time selling a $300 or $400 ball python or a $200 ball python. And then, I had one show, it might've been Bob's show. I think I sold like 6 Maclots at that show, so it's like, it just, those aren't super expensive, but it adds up, it makes it worth it. And
hey, Dennis, I was going to say, I bred one ball python male this year. Guess what it was?
Leucistic.
Bells.
No, it was the blackhead.
Oh, the blackhead
male that I got from you
nice.
A couple of years ago.
Nice.
What was the pairing, Bill?
Blackhead clown. I bred him to a couple different females, a regular clown female and then a pastel banana clown female.
Cool.
Nice.
Where are you going to wholesale those babies?
They haven't even laid their eggs yet. They're both gravid, but I haven't decided what to do with the eggs yet.
Yeah. I'm trying to make, I bred a blackhead clown to some chocolate Mojave and some other, just trying to make like some of that dark, I don't know, I like that dark, funky stuff, but just the prices of everything change so much and whatever else. But it is, I still like it. And the nice part for me is like, if my son comes back here, he's sick, I can hand him a ball python. I can, I'm not doing that with the Maclots. Like my adults aren't bad, but they want to eat. Like I don't let them touch those,
Yeah.
So it's nice to have the options of stuff. And I've thinned out a lot. Like I sold a good chunk of adults this year, but in Daytona, and I wouldn't mind thinning those out a little bit more. I don't need to make as many, but I'd also like to make more of the other stuff. Like, problem.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
No, go ahead, Dennis. I'm sorry.
Well, the problem is, if I make 5 clutches of blood pythons and short-tailed pythons, that's like 100 and some. That could be 100 and some babies. And I'm like, do I want to deal with that? And I like them, but how much do I like? What's the right answer? I don't know what the right answer is.
I'm sitting on 4 female Borneo short tails that I haven't bred in 3 years. As you know, they're super easy to breed.
Right.
And one lock and they're done. And they lay big clutches, and the babies are easy to establish. But I've just felt, at least just in my small arena, it seems like they are, have gone kind of similar way to the ball pythons. They're,
a little slower.
And it's just slower than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I actually would say, I would venture to say that bloods and short tails are easier to breed and easier to take care of than a ball python, because you don't need to influx the food as much. They just kind of sustain, and they're pretty easy to breed. You just have to realize, just have to know how to pick them up.
Yeah, you gotta
ride hook for the shit. I know that.
Yeah, so they're just so thick, but even a mean one, even a bit, an aggressive one or a defensive one, if you know how to pick them up, especially if you have like a big tub, you can pick them up pretty easily because you just have to support them and pick them up. They're they're pretty easy to deal with.
You want to know that you want to know what's awkwardly to hold like almost all the time is the fucking emerald tree boa. Like they're weird. Like they start arching their body, and it's like they won't just sit there. Like they're not. It's like almost they don't like to be held at all. It's weird.
Well, that's that conversation we just had about that emerald. I have like a 3-year-old basin at work that we produced that one of the guys that works for me was like, hey, it hasn't wanted to eat in the last few weeks. And I went in there today and I touched it, and that thing tried to whip around like it wanted to eat my head. And I was like, it's not that it doesn't want to eat. We just need to warm up the food more. And then warmed up the food and gave it to it, and it ate like but it also was like lower in the perch. So it was late, like when it wrapped it up, it hit the floor. And I was like, I think it just didn't want to be that low.
Yeah.
Like, I think it just chose a bad spot, but when they're ready, they're ready.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Bill? I didn't mean to cut you off.
If I did, I can't remember what it was. I was going to say that the only problem with the Borneos and the Bloods are the size of the enclosure.
Yeah.
That makes them a little bit more, difficult to keep larger numbers, but you don't want larger numbers because they lay such big clutches.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I use those latest ARS tubs and the side by side, whatever those things are. The 84.
That's what I use. I use ARS, big ARS tubs.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say, Marshall?
I was going to say one of the worst experiences I ever had doing shows was I produced a couple clutches of Borneos, and I was bringing them to the show for the first time. I had them in baby ball python displays, and I was like, these are kind of small for them, but fuck it, it's just a day show. I'll throw them all in there. So I put like 10 of them in like a little 5-hole display, each separated obviously, and drove to the show. And when I got there, every single one of them had taken a huge shit in the display. And I'm sitting there like trying to clean them, and they're just fucking biting. Oh, it was so bad. It ruined me on Bloods.
I can understand. I mean, they also don't like. I think they don't like the show aspect. So that's why I had a guy make us some deli cup displays. I feel like they'd be better off in deli cup displays. So I've done that with like Maclots and some of those things where it's like I try to just stick ball pythons in the acrylics and then have other stuff where it's like they can be a little more comfortable. So you're just less having to deal with it.
If somebody buys them, they just obviously take them in the deli cup, right? You don't have to.
Yeah, because it's just a different experience for the snake whenever they're at your place than they are in lights all around. They're pretty secret. Especially those species are more secretive. So I try to like pick and choose. Plus, it's nice to break up the table so it's not all the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, Bill, I got to ask you, Bill, what's going to be your goal in the next few years with the short tails? Do you feel like you will just eventually maybe displace them out of your collection into someone else, or are you going to just ride them out into the wind?
It's kind of like the 100 adult ball pythons I have. I like to have them. I don't breed them, but I like to have them. I enjoy interacting with them, and I enjoy, like Dennis said, when people come over and they're in the facility and they want to hold a snake. I love being able to get those out, and even the Borneos. People love to handle an adult Borneo.
Yeah, it's an impressive snake.
It's really impressive, even for somebody that's a relative novice to put an adult Borneo in their hands, or and mine are super docile. The adults, so I trust them to put them in the hands of a novice. It's impressive to watch somebody hold one of those for the first time.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, MJ, they're here. I'm going to keep them. I still enjoy them. It doesn't mean you have to breed them, to enjoy them.
I mean, especially if you got the space to keep them, and if you like it, you know what I mean. Then why not? Fuck it. I want to ask you, Dennis, same question, but with the ball pythons. Like, you ever see yourself kind of just set and sell with the ball pythons in the next maybe 5 years, or especially if things turning around in the market? It
depends on which friend group you talk to. I have certain friend groups that are like, you need to get rid of all those things. I sold 25 adult females this year. I would like to get, I don't even know what my number is right now, but I'd like to get like into the 30 range. I'd like to have, which I don't even know where I'm at now. I've got it's nice. I look and I see empty tubs, but like, I'd like to get into like the 30 range where I'm making like, say 20 clutches a year or something like that. I'd say, and be okay. Cause I had like the ones I got from you, like I love those things. They should be coming up this year probably. Like
Oh yeah. Oh my fucking productions from like what 3 years ago.
yeah, like
Wow.
so I've got some super G. I mean, I had super GHI, Mojave super GHI, Mojave Leopard. I think is what they were, and they're both het. So like I've got some really nice chocolate DG stuff that's TG hypo stuff that I was going to plug into that.
Nice.
Oh
yeah.
So like there's a lot of stuff that I really like, you know. I mean, but I also find that every time I try to chase a ball python project, it doesn't work out for me, whether it was the height of the market or not.
Yeah.
Like I've done well on projects that I just thought were cool or pretty or whatever else, and just that way. But I have no desire really to chase it. And I also made some triple hets, and I'm like, I don't want to be the triple het guy. Like it's just not like
that right there is a tough fuck. Like because who wants to stack that many snakes? Like
it also just means you have a whole bunch more. And I'm like, the whole idea is that I'd like it to be. I'd like to have like cool stuff that's manageable, and you know, like I'm raising up some sub-ox from Marshall, and some I've got a good group of Amazon tree boas. You know, I have enough stuff. I got some black milks that like I've got Hondurans. I've got like things that I really like, as well as like Sabus and Maclots and olives and whatever else. And so like I like the idea of, I feel like I have like the old time price list from like the 90s, you know, when you look on there and everybody had like a pair of this or 2 pairs of that. And I'm like, it just makes it so like there's part of me that would love to streamline and do like 1 or 2 species and like focus, but then I'm like, I just like a lot of stuff, and I can do it all in this one room, and I do pretty well. I'm pretty successful with it. So I think I'm just going to stick it out and just have the stuff that I like. I would like to, but it's hard. You know, the ball python thing is hard because a lot of the stuff now is stuff that I made or that I got from so-and-so. And it's like, you have like attachments of things where it's like, I don't know, it's hard to pick and choose what you're going to get rid of.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, there's days where I'd be like, I'd love to go to work and come home and like half of them go away and not me be the one that chooses which ones that are gone. You know,
listen, man, it's hard. Every time I open up, you know, a tub and I see a big, beautiful 3,500 gram adult bell female,
right?
You know, it's like, man, I've got like 8 of these. Do I need 8 of these? No.
Yeah.
You know, but do I want to sell any of them? No.
Yeah.
Well, see, but I go through phases where I'll be like, man, that's like, I wouldn't mind having a group of 10 bells, a group of 10, because like if you did, I don't know, you could do some cool combos or whatever else, and you know, and then I'm like, what am I thinking? Like, I don't know. It's just the way that, you know, you start thinking about whatever you think is the best business idea or the best whatever, and then it's like, chill out, slow down. What is it that you really like? And
yeah, the economics of breeding ball pythons, especially now, you know, the prices of rodents, like everything else, you know, if you're not producing them, you know, it's gone through the roof.
Yep.
So is it economically feasible, you know, to produce a bunch of $150, $200 ball pythons, you know, these days? And
it's not worth it.
Unless you're all about vending and you do all that shit, and then maybe like if you're in a position where you're doing shows like a lot of these guys are.
Yeah, Dennis does a lot of shows. You know, he moves a lot of animals.
I do. Like right now, I have 5 shows. Like, so I'm doing I'll do Bob's twice a year. I'll do Tinley and then do Daytona. I'd love to do Troy and Nick's show, that All American thing, but it just hasn't worked out for me to go. And Mickey had a show that was in Virginia Beach, which I was doing, which was nice because it was 10 minutes down the road, but it's the week before doing Bob's show and Tinley and Daytona. So I don't think there's any way that I could do that this year too. So
that's a crazy time of the year now. There's so much going on. It's almost, I was talking to
too much.
I was talking to Brian Susan, and he felt pulled between Bob's show and Daytona because he's like, I can't fucking do both. Like, it's impossible. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, I can't miss Daytona. That's my bread and butter. But he's like, but he's dying to try Bob's show. And so I think he's just going to do Bob's show in February because Bob's show was great. You know what I'm saying? But
it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's just
that was a great show. Yeah.
And I mean, and they like, and the way that they put the effort in to take care of you is,
it's awesome.
You know, second to none, you know, so it makes you want to go down there. Plus you could see just the potential, and he's a smart guy. He's only going to make it better, you know, but Daytona is my favorite show just because I've been to it forever and it's just so much fun, you know?
Yeah. I got to get back to a Daytona. I'm also on the fence of either doing Bob Show in August or Daytona. I can't do both. I'm kind of maybe leaning to Bob Show. Because I mean you're going right, Bill. Aren't we gonna?
Yeah, I thought we kind of decided we were going to go to Bob's show this summer.
Well, because it's my birthday that weekend. I think Lily, I don't know. I think she wanted to do something, but I think I might be able to get away with doing it the week after I get back. So, and I don't want to miss Bob's show. That's a big show for me. So, anyways, yeah, we'll probably just stick to that, to be honest. But yeah, it's tough. You almost got to figure out what makes more sense. And like I said, I just know people rely on Daytonas because they're always good for them. Some people always kill it at a Daytona, no matter what.
It's always my best show of the year as far as financially, and just you see all those people you don't see everywhere else. You see stuff that there goes Marshall. You see other stuff that like you just don't see in other places because the Florida, just brings you a lot of turtles and tortoises and lizards and stuff like that, and plus the people. I get to see Ron down there, and a lot of times I'll go visit Ron, which is always fun.
Ron and Heather. We got to shout out Heather, too, because I feel like she's a gangster.
Well, Heather's the one that does all the work. Ron's just the hanger out there and talker.
Ron's like the rock star, but then we're like, wait a minute, Heather's fucking
kind
of run the ship really over there. And Ron always gives her props. That's why. So they have I got to go there. I went there in January, too, because we were down there for a cheer competition for my daughter. So my son and I went over there and hung out for a few hours. And I love hanging out with him and, and then seeing Trumbauer and stuff down there. Like, so there's so many things that make it so I want to be there, Yeah.
It has to, economically, it has to make sense to travel, and do these shows. If you're selling $200, $300, $400 animals, and you're traveling, your expenses are a couple grand,
right.
Time it's all said and done. So you have to make sure you're going to be able to consistently cover your expenses.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about like Daytona really too, is like, say I make palmetto corns or I make different corn snakes, you can set like all that stuff move. That place is like colubrid. That's what I told Marshall. I think like if you went down there and sub-ox would be like a year old, but you could probably sell as many sub-ox as you want. Just people just buy colubrids in Florida. I don't know what it is comparatively to everywhere else. It's just you can sell. My buddy Scott that goes with me, he must sell 40 bull snakes that weekend. It's just crazy what you can do, down in that place. So it's just all those markets are so different, which is weird, but it is. It's true. There each show has something different you sell. Like I track it all so I could see myself as to what makes sense, and also just for taxes and whatever else. But like, it's weird how each show you sell a different thing.
So you'll bring.
I was at your table when somebody bought like 10 palmetto corns in one shot.
Yeah, no, like that, and then I sold 10 blood red pied-side corns in one shot. Like, yeah, I mean, you may do that, you make a couple grand, like just like nothing, and you've had them for a month with, the economics of selling stuff like that are very good.
So Dennis, you'll bring different species to different shows.
I bring them all to. I bring whatever. Well, other than I can't bring corn snakes to Bob's show, but I'll bring whatever I have to whatever show. I just find like tracking it, the different things sell in different places.
Different,
yeah. And Marshall, you produced quite the amount of colubrids last year, right? You had 3 Transbacos clutches or 2?
Close to 30, 28 or something like that.
And those all sold good for you, right?
Yeah, dude, I sold out. I mean, I was, at first I was worried. I was trying to gear up to wholesale them, and I was like, let me just try. So I put them on my Instagram and sold them for a pretty, discounted price to whoever reached out to me via Instagram, and then whatever ones were left over, I put them on MORPH Market, and I'm pretty sure I priced them at double or maybe even triple what I was selling them for on Instagram, and they all sold in like a matter of weeks. And I think at the time when I did that, there was no other ones on MORPH Market. So I think I maybe just hit it at the right time. It was worth doing, man. They're so easy to get started. Like Dennis was saying, that the parents are in hibernation 3 months out of the year, 2 months out of the year. You don't have to take care of them. As far as the establishment goes, you're just chunking a live pink in there or a frozen thawed pink. I mean, they're just they're super easy.
Yeah. Dennis, I got to ask you, first and foremost, how many chondros in your collection? I know you don't have a shit ton, but you have what, like 2 pairs or
At work or here? I don't have any at home.
yeah, okay, they're all at work.
Yeah, so we have 1, 2, I think 3.1.
3.1
plus babies.
So you have 3.1 adults?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the female that you got a clutch from September, are you going to plan on breeding her again this year or no?
Probably not. I'll probably wait on that.
Hey, Dennis, I was going to ask you, how does a zoo go about determining, like in the reptiles, you're curator of the reptile, how do you determine like what new animals you want to bring in, and how do you source those animals, and like, why don't you have more chondros at the zoo?
I would say in my position as lucky, I get to kind of pick out what I want. So if it's a new species, I have to fill out like a form that tells you like what the education value is, the conservation value is, the exhibit value. And then like we have like a animal care team that everybody kind of votes on it to see. So that way you're not just kind of willy nilly doing whatever. And then once we find whatever species, which could be through another zoo, it could be from some private individual, it could be whatever else. And then it goes through a whole process. Like our vet looks at it and they send out pre-shipment requests, and everything you do is going to take months, and you're going to send fecals and PCRs and blood work and x-rays and whatever before we get it. And also the city manager is going to sign off on it before it comes to us. So everything's a long drawn out process to make sure that we're not bringing anything that's funky into our collection.
And is it ever like an economic issue? Like, just like chondros, for example, you could say, hey, I could bring in, 5 pairs of chondros, and if we produced, 40 babies, we could sell the babies and make the zoo
We don't
money.
sell anything. We just give it all away. So I think because there's so much scrutiny on what you do, like nobody really like zoos really don't sell animals. So
yeah, they trade.
Like we just give it to people. Like, so like say like Reptilandia, like I sent them some animals. We just sent them some basins, blue tree monitors.
What? Wait. Okay, what really makes you a zoo? Like, what does this mean? Okay, so what the fuck? You just send people basins? Well,
I mean, they'd have to go to an actual like facility. So, but like if it's something that's out there, so there's like a listserv that's out there for all people in AZA, and so animals that go out that are like, so say I have a surplus of, say I had chondros. So say right now I have baby chondros, and if I decide I want to get rid of any of those, which I think I'm probably just going to keep them. I'll probably pull a Marshall and just keep them all.
There you go.
I'd put them on there, and then whoever wants them would email in and say, hey, we're interested in that. And then they would say whatever requests they have. And then it would kind of go through, they would pay for shipping, but everything else would be paid for by us. It's really just not something, it's not like that aspect of it. You really don't make money off of.
Dennis, I see Trap Talk right there. It's right there in the T section. So
Yeah.
I'll give you my address. You've been here.
So yeah, and that's the thing. So we have done stuff with private individuals, and so, but if you do that, like, and I could tell you people that have done it. Brian, I got tree monitors from Brian, and he would probably tell you that it was the hardest sale he ever had to do because it takes forever, and they want all this testing and they want all this whatever else, and it's like, I don't know that it's worth it in the long run. Like it might not be worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
So just because because again, we're not bringing anything in. Like we're basically going to have all of the quarantine testing done before it comes to us. And then it's going to go through 90 days and get it all over again. So we're going to do crypto testing. We're going to do nido testing. We're going to do whatever rounded virus, whatever it is they're looking for. And that's determined that, and then they send all that stuff out. So it just makes it so there's a whole lot of rigmarole. It's not an easy process, but it's really just to make sure that we don't bring anything in that's going to affect our population that we already have. And if we send something out, we also can't send it. Like if you were to be like, I'm going to do it and breed it and sell it and whatever else, it probably wouldn't be something we could probably send you. Just because. How everybody talks about in the reptile community about policing your own, so they're making sure that nothing bad could ever come back saying, I sent you so-and-so, and then it looks bad on us in the long run.
If a snake came in and it did test positive for Nido or crypto, do you just put it down over there in the zoo, or what would you guys do?
Depending on what it is. So we might offer it back to whoever we got it from. If it was some
Nido snake.
Well, I mean, if it's, we've had that before where something came in that tested negative, and then the stress of whatever brought whatever out didn't seem to affect it. It had there was a set of animals we had gotten from somebody that they had for like 6 years that was perfect. We tested them when we got them, and they were positive. So we said, hey, they're either going to euthanize them or you can have them back, because we can't put them into our collection. And we can't really send them to another place because nobody's going to want them. And so we just sent them back. And to my knowledge, they're still fine. So it's just one of those things. I think we've also found, like with PCR testing, like most all wild caught monitors, especially tree monitors and African stuff, they almost always at some point are going to test positive for crypto.
Yeah.
Like it's, you not the first time, not the second time, maybe, but like the third time. And not always. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty that are not, but like, I've tried to bring in a couple different things of stuff like that, and so it's made it so we really just try to get captive bred stuff now, because the wild caught stuff, it doesn't seem like they're affected by it, and I don't know that they are affected by it, but they do carry it.
And that's the same crypto that can be transmitted to snakes.
Yeah, so there's Veranae, and there's again, I'm not a vet, so I'm not sure, but there's like Serpentis and there's Veranae, and so if it's Serpentis, then that's the one that can basically wipe out your population. So if it has that, and it's really hard to kill. So even if you bring it in, like even disinfecting, you might have to burn it, right? You might have to burn whatever it was in rather than disinfect it, because it's strong enough.
A monitor can carry the snake version?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've had blackthroat monitor, savanna monitor, blue tree monitor, all that were tested negative before come in and have positive results, and then have to go back.
Scary. Wrap up topic time, and I'm going to go first, and then we'll go to Bill and Marshall. But since we're on the topic of quarantine and testing, now that we're in 2025, there's a lot of more reputable chondro breeders out there, I would say, but we still got to be careful. So what would you like if you were just coming into the game now, Dennis, and let's say primarily chondros is what you're going to do, but you had 0 snakes starting from scratch, you had all the knowledge that you had now, how would you go about inquiring about snakes? Like, let's say you wanted to hit up Bill, but you didn't know Bill, right? Let's just say you just knew about him, but he doesn't know who you are. Like, what would be your recommendation for anyone new coming into this, wanting to collect chondros,
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is what I try to do with my own stuff in general, like regardless of chondro or not, is I try to buy from people that I know. You can kind of see a track record of who's had what, and it sounds like in chondros, it sounds like if you're going to bring something in, it might not be a bad idea to ask if they would do Nido testing. I don't know about a hatchling if you would do that, but it might be something. I mean, you definitely would want to make sure you're not bringing something in at that point in time. So make sure it comes from a reputable source that is there, and I would probably go through whatever testing I could do with. And if they'll test it for you, that'd be great. If not, then find a place you could do it that could be something that it could be housed somewhere that's disposable.
Yeah. And so, okay, when we all know that, there are false, is it false negatives or false positives or
false positives? Yeah.
Right, so false positives. So, do you guys do multiple tests on one animal? Like for instance, do you make sure you get at least 2-3 tests in before you mark it safe, or what's the protocol over there?
So we usually ask for 1 or 2 before it comes, and then we'll do 1 or 2 after it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do fecal testing every 6 months and everything. So every 6 months we're going through and doing at least a fecal swab on or at least a fecal test on every animal that we have.
Really? And what is that showing up? What
oxyurids, you might see, you'll see, I mean, some stuff is nothing, and some stuff you find things that come out of the substrate, but it's just we just do it. We have a list that comes out basically from our techs, and they're like, it's time for us to send in fecals. So we just go through and collect a fecal. They do smears and they check it, and then if it's fine, they just go through, and then if there's something to worry about, then they come back and they might treat it. And then if we're going to
Where
bring
does
in
it come- Where does
frogs,
it come from, though? Where does it come from if it's been negative for whatever you're testing for?
you can find
If
stuff
it's-
that comes through the rodents. Like we've had stuff that
Yeah.
the rodents can come in, crickets, worms, like insects. Your bedding,
Yeah.
you know, your bedding can, like if you're using like soil, like you can have like
Bacteria.
toxoplasmosis can come in through soil if cats or raccoons have been in it.
Wow.
So just
Wow.
like things, yeah, it's like you're like it make you live on. You know, it's crazy if you look hard enough, there's something there to find.
Hey, Bill, another reason to go puppy pads, right?
I don't think
That's
they can
what-
go puppy pads at the zoo.
Yeah, none. But you know, I've been thinking about it here with my tree boas because I've been trying different substrates and like nothing is making me love it right now, and so I've been thinking about trying the puppy pad thing with my Amazons just to see if
With
I like it.
Amazons?
Yeah.
Oh man, you better buy stock in the company and be changing those things out like every 2 days.
Are they expensive? I've never bought a puppy pad, so
They get yeah, they're kind of up there. I mean, I didn't really think about it. We were in the trap chats and somebody was like saying how they prefer paper towels as like the substrate to use, and I'm like, that could get costly. But they're like, man, puppy pads are what's expensive. And I looked and I'm like, I'm paying about $50 for 100 of them. So that's
I
a
was
lot.
they're about 40 cents. About 30 cents each.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, maybe that's right, but I don't know. Like, you know, as much as like they can get dirty, as long as they're not shitting or pissing on it, that puppy pad can last at least a week. You know what I mean? As long as it stays clean, mind you. You know.
yeah, I don't know. I've been like going back and forth on my setups with that stuff here. So
Yeah, I mean, I've gone back and forth just because I don't know. You just we want to use what's right, and so. But I'm always trying to just go for the perfect husbandry, and the only reason why I even left puppy pads is because I had a humidity issue, and the puppy pads was making it even worse. But once I fixed the humidity issues, I'll never leave puppy pads as long as I have good humidity. I'm good, you know.
yeah, because I was doing a mixture of like cocoa core and then the bark, and I was adding a little bit of sphagnum and mixing it like that. And it was working, but then every once in a while I'd get like a little bit of mold that would pop up if it was too wet. And,
Dirty, I'm telling you, especially with it gets dirty. Like, and mind you, like there's so much of the shit that we don't see that goes into the soil and goes into the bark, and like, you're spot cleaning, but really like you're still leaving a shit ton of the extra, fluids still in the tub, and that shit, it's like residue after a while.
So I switched over to Cypress for a little bit, and I've been messing with that, but like that packs down so much that I thought I loved it, but now I'm not sure. I don't know. I just feel like I'm in a, I don't know. I just change. I'm always trying to make it better. So I'm always changing stuff, trying, and I don't know. Sometimes I probably should just leave it alone, but I'm always trying to see what I can do that's better and different.
Yeah. Pat says he likes to use cypress mulch for his adult Amazon tree boas. And I didn't even know you had Amazon tree boas, Patrick. But then again, I'm not surprised. So, all right. So, Bill or Marshall, who wants to go next with their wrap-up question for Dennis?
I was going to ask Dennis real quick. Are there any species that are on the new species on the horizon for you in your personal collection or at the zoo?
I don't even know. I would say personal wise, I feel like if I like it, I kind of get it. So I don't know if that's. I do have a friend that produced some Wamina babies that I wouldn't mind getting some pure Waminas and growing up. He had 2 clutches this year of babies. I wouldn't mind stealing some babies from him somehow and raising up some green tree pythons. I'd like some locality stuff just to kind of play around with. I would like to add some ring pythons. That's kind of something I would like to add to the mix.
What about white lip pythons? You seem like a white lip python guy for some reason.
Yeah, I had white lip pythons, and the problem is which I guess maybe if I tubbed them, when I had them in cages in here, like you can't walk by.
Oh,
they're so reactive.
Yeah.
And then I took them and put them above my head, and so I had them like above racks, and I had them in 4-foot cages up top. But then I was like, then I don't feel like I'm not paying as much attention to the water and whatever else as much as I'd like to, and so. They just
can't walk by because they'll strike the glass.
Yeah, they're too reactive as you're going through. Or if you're feeding and you walk by, then they wrap it up and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing over there?"
You want to know what? Okay, so I have mine in tubs now, but I'm actually going to be rehoming mine now. But I got to tell you, when I did have them in a vision rack, they didn't strike when they were on the bottom cage. Like I had them on the floor.
Right.
And they stopped striking. Like they weren't tripping about the being on the floor. But anywhere mid-level or high, goddamn good. High was the worst because they're just fucking. They're just waiting for you, and you're just like, oh my god.
That's where Owens are too, if I remember correctly. When I went to Owens' house, I think his were on the floor.
Yeah, and I and they weren't that bad at all on the floor. Like I could even go in there, and they weren't waiting by the glass or anything. But the tubs, they're a lot more chiller in the tubs. I'll be honest. I just hate seeing them in tubs, but they are definitely a lot more like approachable in a tub setup.
I wouldn't be opposed to adding, and I've added those twice in my life, so I would say I like them. I just didn't thrive with them because I just feel like, I don't know, they were just too reactive to that. And as far as the zoo stuff goes, we actually tomorrow a pair of shinglebacks come out of quarantine, so I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. Really
were those wild caught, Dennis?
No, they were captive bred at Audubon Zoo, so in New Orleans. We added this year a pair of Parenti, which is pretty badass too.
What are those, Dennis? I'm not familiar.
A Varanus giganteus. It's like a big monitor out of Australia.
It's the Australian monitor that you could find on the beach. Bill, they have like a bunch of spots.
Super beautiful.
Everybody's had some pictures
They're
with some
really cool looking.
Fucking really cool. They're really awesome.
Super, just way prettier in person than I was expecting. Like the female one, I remember when I unboxed her, I was like, it's like someone took pastels and like drew a web on her back.
And their structures are like a little bit more slender, right? But they're long. Yeah. They're aren't they longer?
Yeah, they're long and they're just So, cool. I don't know what else we have coming in. Like, got some beaded lizard females coming in, whatever else. But like,
nice.
That's another one of those things. I don't know that like I'm trying to think of what else I'd love to add a Komodo to our stuff. But I've got to figure that one out. I've got to figure out who I can get some money from to build an exhibit and get approval. And, so I've been trying for that one for a while and I've been unsuccessful. So we're in the process of hiring a new director. If we get a new director that I can schmooze and show how much we need that, I think I'd be all over that. I almost feel like I could I don't want to say quit, but like, I feel like I've done everything that I can get there and I have such a cool collection of stuff there that if I did that, I'd be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's like that's like the icing on the cake. I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. You get a Komodo at your zoo, I'm flying back out there 100%.
Yeah.
I'm on my way, buddy.
And there's been, and also another thing I wouldn't mind, like I've been thinking like about like wheat belt Stimsons, like those some of those little things like that I think have been, I don't know. I haven't had a spotted python or a children's python in a long time. So I was thinking that would be kind of a cool addition for home.
Epic. All right, Marshall, send us home, buddy. What's your wrap-up question for Dennis?
So with the baby chondros you've got at the zoo, is there any plans to put those on exhibit? Because you would think that the yellow, with them being bright yellow, blah, 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 that they would...
it's a great question.
That'd be cool.
I should. And our marketing people would probably really like that. And so, originally I told them I wanted to make sure they were established before I put them out there, but they are established. So maybe I should get on that. So maybe I should try it. Maybe I'll work on that this week. They should go out. We have a nursery, so they could go in the nursery easily. I could set up we have some bars cages that are like, what are they? Probably like 12 by 12 by like 20, something like that I could probably put them in and they would be
perfect.
I could probably just put them in what they're in now and just turn them the other way. But yeah, they probably could go on exhibit. People would like it. I think I also told them, I was like, it'd be cool if we could have like that Verity book out there.
I was going to say, put that in the gift shop.
Yeah. I feel like that. I feel like combining those two, just my son, we have that book from my son and he likes that book. And, I feel like the combination of just having kids reading and having that snake there would be a super cool thing. I don't know if I'd have to look more into that, make sure that's okay. But that's kind of what I'd like to do.
Why don't you pitch a $6,000 designer from Bill to the marketing team?
I think the patrons at the zoo would be much more happy to see a yellow sarong baby.
Oh shit!
Or a Roo baby.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy to see anything in there. So yeah, so I think Marshall, I do need to put him out there. So I probably should just get on that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let us know how that works, man. And I always appreciate you coming by, Dennis. And thanks for coming in through the clutch, man. So where can people find you at? Obviously, Instagram's the most active place to.
Yeah, let's say Instagram, Facebook. Just my name, Dennis McNamara, on Facebook, and then DJM Reptiles on Instagram. You can find me on Morph Market, although I've been horrible about adding stuff on there lately or doing anything with it. But and then I'll be at both Atlanta shows, Daytona and Tinley. So,
what you don't like Morph Market, Dennis? You one of those guys or what?
I do like it. I just have been lazy. Like I have the same stuff that's. I have the same stuff on there. Like I need to update some stuff. I keep on saying I'm going to take pictures and do it or else, and I just have not done it. So
right. I'll put all the links to all your social media accounts, your Morph Market in the description below.
I still pay for it every month. I pay for it.
Good. Oh yeah, your next show will be Bob Boo show then?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you there.
When is that? I'm definitely going. It's like 2 hours from
August 10th or something like that. August 7th.
August 9th through the 11th. I think the 10th is on a. Oh wait, no. I think it's I forget. It's August 11th and 10th. I think. Yeah. So
we need to do that dinner again like we did last time. That was nice. Last time?
Was that at the Bob show? That
was at Bob show when you, me, Marshall, Brian, buddy Scott.
Yeah, Krista was there. Where did we eat at? What was some Italian joint?
Yeah, it's like good. Starts with
I don't remember.
No, and then
yeah.
Yes. Then we went to a salsa joint the next night. Remember, Marshall?
Yeah, that was the next night. Yeah, I remember.
I was supposed to go with you on that too, and I didn't, and I went somewhere else. But that's my fault. But it was all right. But no, I'd like we should do that again. I'm all for it.
Well, it's different when the mayor's in town, so just be ready. It's going to be quite the time. So
yeah, I've been there. Maybe we'll see if Scally will come down. You get you guys to make it all liven it up.
Oh shit! Have a rematch.
All right, guys, do me a favor. Again, find all the links to Dennis's social media plug in the description below. But give it up. It's a wrap for Dennis. DJ and Reptiles. Big back, ladies and gentlemen.
Good to see you, Dennis.
Good to see y'all. Thanks,
Dennis.
Later, Dennis. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Man.
All right.
Peace. Dennis, Big Mac.
What a guy.
What a guy. Great episode.
What can you say?
Yeah, I love the guy, man. Really, like that's a true like reptile fucking keeper. Like, you know what I mean? Like we got, that's why I love Marshall because he's been around for fucking ever. And obviously, Bill, you put in your time, but like Dennis, like this is his life. You know what I mean? Like,
it's his life.
Yeah, it's his life. And he's a good guy, just an overall good guy. I love seeing him at all the shows. Looking forward to seeing him in August. So
he is a great ambassador.
Really is. Yeah. Definitely is. And I don't know. Again, remind me the year you and Dennis met, Marshall. I'm just trying to think about.
I don't remember.
2000.
Yeah, maybe even before that. Yeah, I don't. He said my first Daytona was 98, I think. I don't necessarily know that I met him that time, but I can't remember when. I mean, I've known him for a long time.
Yeah, there's this photo. Hold on, I want to pull it up real quick. Where is it at? Oh yeah, check this photo out. Because I was digging through his Instagram, and he has. Tell me if you guys know who that is behind him right there. Anyone recommend? It almost looks like Barczyk. I thought it was Barczyk at first.
That's what I was gonna say at first.
It's Chad Holker.
Is that right?
That's Chad Holker right there, dude. What a trip, dude. Look at Dennis. Look how young Dennis is right there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But fuck, man. Time flies, I got to tell you. But yeah, great episode, boys. I appreciate it so much. Red Mountain Herbs on Instagram and Phoenix Reptile the Mayor. Go subscribe on IG. I appreciate you two boys. I'll catch you next week, all right?
See you in 7 days.
Peace out. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Good night, boys. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for everyone who tapped in. Before you guys head out and enjoy the rest of your evening, hit the like button for Dennis. Let's get the likes up. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Select all. You'll be reminded of all podcasts released out of the Trap Talk Reptile Network 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Don't forget, listen to all the audio platforms as well. Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Appreciate all the love and support. If you're looking for exclusive content, look no further than joining the Trap Talk Patreon family for early access to great content. First link in the description below. Connect to the Discord. Amazing Instagram group chat. Shout out to my trappers. You guys are my heart. Shout out to the sponsor tonight. So before you guys leave, check out my sponsors. One of the biggest growths we have in the reptile industry today are the rare species of reptiles that aren't worked with. That's right. That's why I went ahead and partnered up again with Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian works with species such as kahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, all species of tree monitors. He works with Abronia and many other cool species geckos that you can check out all on his website. Head over to sundownreptiles.com, see what he has available. Brian's one of the best doing it in the reptile industry today. He's been on the show multiple times, so make sure you check out all of Brian Susan's episodes on Trap Talk Reptile Network. But more importantly, for the highest quality of captive bred reptiles, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Thank you again, Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. One of the things I love about being a part of the reptile industry is all the learning, okay? Learning can be fun, and I can prove that to you. Thank you so much to today's sponsor. It's Gary Scavino over at GS Reptiles. I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, follow all this man's content when it comes to learning about rare species of snakes you could be keeping in the hobby, and also just finding out how easy a lot of these rare species of snakes are to keep in general. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Again, head over to his YouTube channel. Also head over to his Instagram to be on top of all of his current work and be ready for a big year over at GS Reptiles. Thank you so much, Gary, for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it. Cheers.